Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Yet concealing China's meddling was only the beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems, dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it, made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past.
Who was looking for more? Who was looking for more from President Trump last night than what he stated? I think we have to go through. I'm gonna let you guys hit the share button, do this. You're gonna want to hear everything that we have to say today. 6 years. 6 years of my life and many others people's lives have been on this particular hill to die on. 6 years. What President Trump did last night is he gave us a glimpse into the things that were wrong, the release of documents of what the government knew. I want to be really, I want to say all the quiet parts out loud. The information that's being released is information and conclusions that we already came to as a general public a long time ago. We knew that they were liars. We knew what they were doing was stealing the election. We knew that the machines and the mail-in ballots. But when we blame things on China, see if I can slide this up. When we blame things on China, and we don't take responsibility for the people in our own country who have done really bad things, clearly and blatantly, I think we cheapen the idea of what really is going on. I don't think that's President Trump's fault. I don't think that the American people are ready for how many lies are told. How many times does the government lie to us? How many times do we feel like we're slaves in our own environment? This morning I went through and talked about the Second Amendment infringement that we have in Colorado and the fact they have a 6.5% tax, a 3-day waiting period, a fee that you now have to pay the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, a fee you have to pay the sheriff. The sheriff has a process that's undefined by time to give you permission in order to go buy a gun. Then you got to go take a 12-hour class. After you're done with the 12-hour class, you got to give them $200 for that class, by the way. Then you can go back to the sheriff, hand it back to him and say, Mother, may I? Can I please still have my Second Amendment rights? And then after we're done doing that, you have to go back to the store. You have to take another background check because you have to take 2 background checks. One that you have to turn into the sheriff's office. You have to give them a background check just to give permission for them to tell you. And it's a third party that's run by some goon that's connected to Polis just to have a right to own a gun. And yet we want to give, in many states, the ability for groomers and rapists and pedophiles to rape multiple children without ever going to jail. Take away accountability, put criminals back on the street. And that's all caused because of stolen elections. If you were looking at how it all started, it started because people that were selected, not elected, they're there to fulfill one thing, and that is an agenda, an ideal. Destroy everything at all costs, take whatever you can, take all the meat off the bone, leave very little for the people. Disintegrate society norms and make sure while you're at it, you recruit, groom, and absolutely harm the future generation, our children. But when we talk about this stuff, voting machines, mail-in ballots, loaded voter rolls, which are all the things, the CIA cover up, foreign interference, this brings me back to this Raul video. It brings me back to roaming networks. It brings me back to stuff that whistleblowers that told us. They told us years ago. They told us years ago about stolen IDs. We did this in 2022. They literally stopped me from flying out of the country, would not let me buy a ticket to go overseas. I had to pay someone $5,000 to drive from Italy to Romania to do a video with Raul. Did you guys forget this? We've been talking about this for so long that it's eerie hearing President Trump talk about it because we already knew about it. Last night I got in a conversation with Matt DePerno and we're talking about it, and he goes back to, and he put something up that I thought was interesting. And that interesting thing, he said, I said, he didn't go far enough. President Trump didn't go far enough, but I also recognize why. So let me calm the people that say he didn't go far enough. And now let's attack the very goons like Kyle Clark in Colorado and CNN is doing, what MSNBC is doing. Oh, it was a nothing burger. He didn't show us anything. He didn't show us anything. Creating a narrative because they're deathly afraid of the truth. These people are deep state actors. They are absolute treasonous actors. They're not Americans. They want to destroy the fundamentals of what it means to be an American. Now, do I think that he has all the right people around him? I don't. But I have trust in people like John Eastman. I have trust in people like Carolyn, who is the spokesperson for President Trump. Super sharp. I have trust in Ed Martin. I have trust in certain people on his team, which are unflappable. And there are other people that I know personally over the last 6 years. I've sat around with them, and I'm very familiar. I'm super familiar with their inability to, one, tell the truth, and two, do anything that is good for anything other than themselves. I recognize those people as well. I recognize the Javon Pulitzers and the Laura Loomers that basically want to act like they're the moral authority or the authority, that they're the largest voice in the room. And then sometimes they are the largest voice in the room. And they swing a sword, but from a place of being either retarded or being fraudulent. There are risks and there are things that people have sacrificed over those years. And there are people that I know for a fact are really good people. And if you pay attention to those people, you have a better idea of what the outcome will tend to be. We get rid of machines, we get rid of mail-in ballots. There's got to be a pressure put on Congress. But right now, the fodder for the radical left, they knew how to combat this and to create a narrative behind what President Trump said, because he had people on the inside that had created that doubt and created a story that was easily attackable with rhetoric, not truth, rhetoric. Here's a second clip of President Trump's speech last night about Trump using stolen American IDs. It's super important. Go ahead, play it.
Department of Homeland Security, according to the DHS review of state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, a long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC fake news.
They knew. But again, the information that's being presented is not the strongest argument. It's not the strongest information. We talked about IDs, 286,000. It wasn't 286,000. It was Fox IT, which, by the way, is a CIA company. It's a CIA front. Look, I put up this post yesterday, and it's really simple. I said, it's a start. Now we need prosecutions. We didn't talk about prosecutions. Now, again, I don't put this on President Trump. I put on this one thing, and that is a fear of reprisal, a fear of the unknown. And, I want to take you back to 2021. Was it 2021? Pretty sure it was. Maybe it was it was April of 2022. I'm pretty sure. Raul, by the way, is in prison right now. Raul worked for Fox IT, gave me a treasure trove of things, including the social security numbers, the names, date of births, addresses of American voters that he got while working for basically the CIA. And his job was to create environments where he could steal identities so they could be used in elections. It wasn't hyperbolic. I didn't spend money having someone fly, and have a covertly go into an environment. And that's what happened. Covertly go into an environment and record Raul, who, by the way, was hiding. They wanted him. Offered a bribe, and he's like, I don't want the bribe. I want you to stop. What's happening right now, after he figured it out, he went on the run, and then they caught him, and now he's in prison. Let's play this. This is a longer clip, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. You'll see it. You can go back to 2021, 2022. It's the same as the model that I built back in January 1st of 2020. It basically is here's what the model looks like. Let's go ahead and play it.
on the meeting in the U.S. Embassy, they proposed me to forget about the information which I have regarding the election fraud and the banking and the identity theft.
Okay.
Instead, I will get a Washington, D.C. seat, $1 million in cash, and I can...
Got that? Million? My name is Raul Nikolai Coulter, a former external risk analyst in the field of cybersecurity and banking cybersecurity. I make this document available to you and inform you of the following. I am a witness and whistleblower in more than 10 domestic and international cases in favor of the American people. As you can see from the contents of the file, the data is highly sensitive. Due to the fact that starting with 2011, 2015, 2018, 2019, 2020, I notified the criminal actions against American citizens and against American institutions, an abusive case was created for me to be stopped or eliminated. Given that the accusations brought against me are abusive, if Facebook posts misinterpreted, they will probably try in other ways to silence or eliminate or discredit me. The law and the Constitution are not respected in my case. I respectfully request an urgent meeting to discuss and present with certain aspects of your country's national security. Along with this aspect, I must inform you and present one of the most important secrets of your country, a secret discovered by foreign entities, a secret that can be useful to every American and global citizen, a secret hidden by certain criminal interests and mathematical banking algorithm. My last visit to the headquarters of the USMC in Bucharest was on 16 July 2019. In the next 2 to 3 days, another abuse is about to be committed against me, which is why I will communicate the following numbers. Personal mobile. If my phone number is locked, it means they acted abusively. Trusted locally contact, just ask about me. That number. Trusted international contact, just ask details about me. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day. For a fast preview, search the pink and green marked words in the material. Okay. What can you tell me about the IDs? We found out these are actual people, though. Like the driver's license, dates of birth, everything.
You have here much more.
All of them, maybe you can find yours over there.
I made you another...
Okay.
I made you another copy. There are some thousands here.
Okay.
Check them out. But the things are not
perfect.
No, this is perfect. There is another aspect of this shit.
Okay.
After I made the drawings of the identities of Romanian authorities, in about probably I needed 3 years or 4 years since I made jobs. I find out from the people inside this institution that a lot of these identities were sold to the Chinese in order to create fake IDs. That's why I asked you which IDs. Because there are many kind of things.
Okay.
Once it's the electronic way, but there is physical way. So let me show you one full identity in order to understand.
Okay. So all these were sold to China.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the Romanian authorities.
Okay, that's a pretty interesting one. And just to clarify the numbers, 25 to 50 million US and up to 100 million total.
50 million and more of US. I will say 50 because it's easy for me to prove, but the number is higher.
So it's probably closer to 100 million. Okay, so 2011, 2019, there were 2 drops, all US IDs of 25 million each.
So in 11, and second was in 18, like 18.
2018. Okay, so 2018.
2 drops of 25 million each. Identities, American identities.
When I'm telling you identity theft, I need you to have this picture in the mind of all 50 millions of them.
The way I see it, these are whole people that just don't. These are, the way I envision it, the way you say it, is it's a person without a body.
Yeah.
These are people who exist.
It's your identity. I go in your name everywhere, electronically vote.
This is one full identity stolen. So take a look of everything.
You guys see this?
And
Yep.
besides this, I have email access, computer access, and phone banking password on the phone.
Okay.
So you are fucked up if I have something like this. So
ATM pin. ATM pin.
It's not hundreds of thousands, it's tens of millions. If you go back to 2021, I did not tell you that there were 2 million votes that didn't go to Biden, that they cheated just a little bit. No, it's 30 million. It's 40 million. The vast majority of our country doesn't trust our government, doesn't want any part of the government process because they're so disenfranchised with what the outcome is. There's millions of people that don't even vote or don't even file their taxes because they're so disenfranchised with what the American system has become. It's become a slave state where they take from you whatever they want. They set the standards of what percentage they can take, and then when they're done, they take more. Raul, right after this, within a couple weeks, went to prison in Romania because he was a whistleblower. To this day, Raul sits in prison in Romania, and not for anything that he did wrong. He went from embassy to embassy. He met with FBI officials from 2 other countries. They exchanged text messages. He kept those text messages. They exchanged calls. He recorded those calls. The things that we were able to do to come back and verify that we verified that these people were real, that he sent to us. We picked up the phone. We reached out and called someone. You had voters that were there that never voted in any election. You had 2 of them that didn't even live in the same state. Everyone wants to say, and you know what? There's some truth to it. There's some truth to it that China is involved. There's some truth to it that there are foreign actors involved. But you can't have foreign actors without domestic actors. You can't have the ability to circumvent an election system without a system that's so rife with corruption and fraud that you can't see the bottom of it. That's the reality. Don't worry about it. Trump's not going to win. I made sure of it. We released all these files and the government had it. What was so dangerous about releasing it back in 2019 and 2020? What was so dangerous about it? Why couldn't we tell the truth? Why did we have to suffer as a country for an extra 4 years through basement Biden, a guy that could barely even write his name out, who walked around like a blubbering idiot? And that was the president of the most powerful country in the world. We're not stupid people, but you got morons and village idiots that walk around saying that the feeble shell of a man, oh yeah, that's our fearless leader. They're a bunch of retards. And yet the strongest of us sit back and say, oh, the media is telling us the truth. They haven't told us the truth about anything. And they're all run by this deep state. They're all run by this cartel. And everyone can see it but us. What is going on? Am I upset about it? I'm upset about it. I'm upset about it because we're treated like children. You can't have your Second Amendment right because we got a bunch of diabolical people going out there and trying to kill children. Oh, by the way, let's let teachers get out there and groom our children and tell them that you can be any number of sexes. Matter of fact, you could make yourself a cat. The biology doesn't matter. Math doesn't matter. We got Common Core. It tells you to round up to the nearest 1,000. And we wonder why our children are literally retarded. Not my children, but many people's children. They can barely function. I sat for a job interview with one. Just say, this is the craziest thing. I shot for a job interview. I'm going through the resume. This kid went to a school that cost $50,000 a year. And I was like, what kind of internships did you do? He goes, oh, I couldn't find a job as an intern. I was like, you just went through a business school, right? Yeah, he goes, yeah. I said, so you go to a prestigious business school and you can't get an internship. He goes, Joe, I couldn't even get a job. I was like, okay. Well, you were with this company for, it looks like a year and a half. Why'd you leave? It wasn't a good fit. Oh. Did you get fired or did you quit? Oh no, they downsized. I go, what's the reason why they downsized? I just started asking questions. And he goes, well, they didn't respect my work-life balance. I said, oh, we got it. That checks. Well, so what does that mean? You like getting paid by the hour? He goes, oh, no, I want a salary. I said, well, how many hours a week are you prepared to work to do this job? He goes, well, 40, but I take my lunch. And he started dictating the terms to the deal. And I was like, oh, that's fine. And at the very end, I'm like, yeah, all right, we'll let you know. He goes, well, just so you know, I'm looking around. I'm looking at other opportunities. He said that to me in an interview. And this is the second interview. Someone else interviewed him and thought it was a good idea to put him over to me. And I went, I wouldn't hire you to cut my grass. That's what I thought to myself. I would. And then I thought about whose fault it is that this weak, pathetic dude comes into my office and says that we're there to entertain him and to make sure that he has a job that he can, play. And then he's going to tell me what the terms are to his employment. Well, you know how many times I get that? Quite a bit. And it's our fault because we let retarded run things. We let retarded be the arbiter of reality with our children. They keep trying to bring down the number to a lesser number. But I'm going to tell you right now, as God is my witness, we are not a 50-50 country. The capturing happened at the media. The capturing happened on the levers of power within social media and things like that. And then they censor the shit out of me. Right now, I'm being censored on platforms that are owned by one of the wealthiest men on the planet, one of the most, I think, fair men, honest men that you're going to get, Elon Musk. But he can't walk around seeing what kind of dials are pulling back on people. I just know that I'm one of the dials. Right now. I've been canceled from the platform 4 times. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, listen, don't sit here and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when I send someone all the way to Romania. He gives me documents. I send the documents to Washington. I send them to congressmen. I spell it out. I prove it. And you know what they did with it? Go ahead. Close your eyes and what do you see? They did nothing with it. I sat in the same room as Christina Bobb. Sat literally in the studio with OAN. Sat there. Just got off the air. We walked through all the things. Keep in mind, I started this deal because of Eric Coomer being on an Antifa call that I was looking for journalists. I wasn't looking for him. It's providential that you have a guy that's a system architect that happens to be on the deal and is like, oh, well, let's go find out if they can steal elections at a good old Dominion. And it turns out the entire system is designed to steal votes and that they don't care about any rules or doing any code checks, so they don't care about trusted builds and what the implications are. They need a system that can be easily manipulated by their crooked foreign friends who create. And by the way, you can't have crooked voter rolls without crooked people in the government to make the voter rolls crooked. Because if they weren't in on it, they would have deleted the crooked voter rolls. Here's Secretary Mullen's discussing what was found in just 4 states. Let's go ahead and play it.
Department of Homeland Security, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in just 4 states. Mind you, we have 46 other states. And just 4 states, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in California, and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada. We also worked with proactive states to identify 28,000 non-citizens on their voter rolls, plus 400,000 individuals that are still registered to vote that are deceased.
Registered to vote and deceased. Deceased. In Georgia alone, they had like 6,000 or 7,000 deceased people that actually voted. Well, how did they vote? And some of them weren't mail-in ballots. Some of them were voted in person. How did they vote? Why'd they ignore the information with Raul? I still have a copy of all of it. All the information from Raul. How did they actually ignore that information? Why is it that nobody's gone over to get Raul out? He met with people from the FBI, flew in from the DC field office, and flew in from the New York field office. How about Shawnee Kirkhoff, worked for the CIA, got promoted from Capitol Hill Police to the CIA? Gate analysis, 98%. No, we're going to go after we'll call him a at-risk American who's got the equivalent of midget legs. I mean, disproportionate body. That certainly wasn't him that planted the bombs. It was a white person. But no, we ignore facts because we let these guys actually talk to us as if we were just retarded when they are the retarded one. They're literally convincing us that they're not the devil. And yet they're the devil. We keep saying it over and over again. David Clements, Mark Cook, Jeff Lemberg, Matt DePerno, Stephanie, Patrick Byrne. I mean, who else? John Eastman got disbarred. He got disbarred for telling the truth, for taking information that was real. He was a constitutional attorney. You're talking about people, Mike Gableman, Supreme Court Justice in Wisconsin. These are all really good people. I ran a company. Oh, no. Let's listen to treasure hunters. Let's listen to people who are actors and believe in kabuki theater. Those are the people we should let create chaos. For sure. Why not? Let's do that. That makes perfect sense to me. Charlie says, hopium waiting longer, just a little longer. I want to show you this right now. These are newly declassified Department of Homeland Security documents. State more than 250,000 non-citizens are registered to vote across 4 states. Review as publicly available voter data. One of Kyle Clark's things, Kyle Clark is a guy in Colorado that works for 9 News that got bought out by a bigger conglomerate that basically is a much more reasonable middle of the road. He's not going to end up staying. But here's a guy that literally has been on the stand and been on the stage for a long time in Denver. He says, well, there's nothing about what they said that's all that important because voter records are all publicly available. You're a retard, Kyle. You're probably the biggest retard this side of the planet because what you're saying is a lie. We look at the sacrifices that people make after we went out and did canvassing and the threats that people got for canvassing. Why would you threaten people if they were canvassing if what they were saying was untrue? It'd be easy to debunk. We look at what happened with the reports that happened in Maricopa County, reports that happened in Mesa County, the fact that Tina Peters was in prison for 9.5 years and the radical left is okay. They want her to stay there for 9.5 years. It's pretty sad when you got a guy like Jared Polis that moved from radical left hanging out with Team Evil over here with, Weasel Weiser to someone that sounds sensible in the middle. And I say this because the consequences for what has happened in this country cannot be overstated. People died, lost their lives. They lost their lives. Ashley Babbitt died, shot. Because you know what? Because Americans don't mean anything, because you're nothing but slaves. You are nothing but an inconvenience to the machine that just wants you to be out there on the ant farm, giving them all the money. Get back out there, we'll let you keep crumbs, slave. By the way, we're taking your children. They don't belong to you anymore. And you remember this guy? You remember this guy? Remember they had all this information. They had all this information in 2020. In 2021, 2022, we provided massive amounts of information. I sent it up to congressmen. I sent it up to anyone that would listen. And we know we had Biden in there, but the FBI is supposed to be this great organization, right? But it's not. Here's a cut from Chris Krebs. Chris Krebs runs CISA. Chris Krebs was on a call with Eric Coomer on November 2nd, the day before the election. Eric Coomer that said, hey, I didn't really have access to anything. Then why would you be on a call with the director of CISA the day before the election? Why would you be in every email, Eric Coomer? Oh, by the way, happy birthday again. Let's let it be birthday week for you. Play this. 2020 election was the most secure, I guess, huh? Let's go ahead and play it.
On Capitol Hill today, Christopher Krebs, who was the country's top cybersecurity official on Election Day, told a Senate panel this presidential election was the most secure in U.S. history. The former director of the Homeland Security Department's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency was fired by President Trump in November after he made that statement. Here's a part of his testimony with the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee.
We contributed to the cross-agency effort to protect the 2020 election by surging coordination and collaboration with our partners across the national security space. In conclusion, because of these and other efforts, on November 12, 2020, government and industry representatives from the election security community issued a joint statement reflecting a consensus perspective that the 2020 election was the most secure in U.S. history.
Most secure in U.S. history. A retard, a treasonous traitor. Where are the arrests? Stripped of his security clearance, he should have been. The information that we've been provided is only the tip of the iceberg of all the information that the government had available to them. And was in China's interest to create instability in the United States? Yes. Could it have been Russians' interest to create instability in the United States? Yes. Yes. We have adversaries. We're over there fighting a proxy war in Ukraine. Oh, by the way, I need to tell you this. Our friend Sharona Bishop, you know, the hairdresser? No, what is she? Makeup artist that clawed her way into and finagled her way into Lauren Boebert's campaign, finagled her way into Mike Lindell's camp, used it to make a bunch of money, lied about the extent of pretty much everything she's ever done. She went to Ukraine because that's what you would do, is have a dropout, high school dropout that doesn't know anything about anything related to security, who's responsible for Tina Peters, even the circumstances around Tina Peters even being tried for any crime. Went to Ukraine and was a speaker in Ukraine on security, global security. You can't make this up. This piece of shit filed a pro se lawsuit against me in Texas. We're getting ready to basically, and look, not America's Mom, by the way, but goes there, by the way, under this guise of a new company called TCI Consultants. TCI Consultants. I'm going to have a heyday on her when we file our counter complaint. A person that called people all over the country telling them that I'm not one of theirs. And then using her position with Mike Lindell to lie, cheat, and steal. She's a scumbag, but most of the people in our movement have turned out to be scumbags. Most of them. There's good ones. David Clements is good. Mark Cook is good. Jeff Lindbergh is good. Kyle Seraphin is good. I mean, really put up. Rudy Giuliani is good. John Eastman is good. Bob Destro. I can go down the line. There's a ton of really good ones that have done really good things. Yeah, I had to throw that whole deal in there with Sharona Bishop because she's probably the most disgusting human being that I've ever encountered. I've never met someone more dishonest and more equally just disgusting. Disgusting to everything. A grifter in a way that is not even normal for anyone. Play this. This is Christopher Wray, another grifter, another piece of trash who betrayed the American people and lied. Play it.
The intelligence community's consensus is that Russia continues to try to influence our elections, primarily through what we would call malign foreign influence, as opposed to what we saw in 2016, where there was also an effort to target election infrastructure, cyber targeting. We have not seen that second part yet this year or this cycle. But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020 through what I would call more the malign foreign influence side of things. Social media, use of proxies, state media, online journals, et cetera, an effort to both sow divisiveness and discord. And I think the intelligence community has assessed this publicly, primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden and what the Russians see as kind of an anti-Russian establishment. That's essentially what we're seeing in 2020.
That was in September of 2020, who said that Russia's interfering to denigrate Biden. The guy couldn't tie his own shoes, couldn't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, didn't know where he was on stage. They had to build a stage across the street from the White House that was a mock-up of the previous, of what the White House would look like. With the Oval Office, they had to build a stage. Here's Secretary Mullen talking about and saying that our foreign adversaries can access our voting machines and change voter registration and our votes. I mean, but by the way, the most retarded part about all of this is that you have to build a system that will allow this to happen. And any retard of any competency at all, any retard, like the most retarded people in the world, could build a system that could not be accessed. Play it.
We know, talking about our machines, we know for sure that our foreign adversaries, not our allies, foreign adversaries have parts that are vital pieces in our voting machines. We know that they can access what they consider the key to the back of these machines. We know that they can change voter registration and your vote. We know it's possible. There's not a question. It's not even for debate.
I have great hope. But God. People say, well, President Trump won and the Republicans won. They won because Elon Musk literally interfered with the corruption and the one group of people, mostly Dominion voting. It was focused on Dominion voting. Now Liberty vote. The entire system, they said, hey, you had them say that, hey, it's business as usual over here at Liberty Vote. They've been stealing elections using all the machine structures. They've smoothed out. They've made it impossible to access cast vote records, impossible to access ballots. They've shut down every audit. They say, trust us, bro. As they steal your tax dollars, take away your Second Amendment. Put cameras on every corner, flock cameras. Come in and basically take whatever they want. This is the reality you live in. This isn't hyperbolic. It's not made up. Look how many regulations you have to run a business. And if you don't run a business, you work for a business. Oh, but now, guess what? Now we're giving you extra, we're charging you extra taxes. We're going to charge you extra taxes, but we have this thing called family leave. So if they want to leave for 3 months, To hell with the business and what it does to the business, having a hole in your business for 3 months. But if they want to leave for 3 months, we'll let them do it, and you have to hire them back. What kind of world is this we're in? You have somebody that wants to dictate what the rules are to us engaging inside of a free market society. What part of it's free? No, it's litigious, and it's built on dog whistles, bullying, and a bunch of communists that sit in positions of power and authority who think that they can bully and whip people in our own community, and we're tired of it. And this is just another thing right here. You'd say, Joe, you're getting angry. No, this is what's called righteous indignation. And if you guys want to see angry, you haven't seen angry. You haven't seen angry. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed that we're even in a place where we haven't stood up and took it all back. That's what I'm disappointed in. I'm disappointed that we have to only have small salvos of information, just little bits. Of all the people that I spoke with, and one of the only regrets that I have, two regrets. I have two regrets. One, I got sick. I could not get on an airplane and fly to California to actually testify the first time at John Eastman's trial. Couldn't do it, mostly because we thought it was COVID. And then the second time that I was supposed to fly out there to do it, the amount of death threats I got was off the chart. And he's like, yeah, we don't need you. I think he did need me, and I should have been there. Here's a guy that gave up his law license. One of the most prestigious men in the entire country, John Eastman. He's not a stupid man. He's a very measured man, and he lost nearly everything, including his reputation through all this. And he had access to all this information. There's been plenty of sacrifice to go around over the last 6 years. Plenty of men and women that have given it all. I'll equate it to the beaches of Normandy. I will equate the sacrifice and the things that we have done to wanting and willing to give up everything we have in order to fight for what is right for the American people. So if you think this is anger, this is not anger. This is righteous indignation. This is the idea that we should never put up with this from these terrorists inside of our country. And we should not have to sugarcoat things. We should come through the front door. We should indict people immediately. And we should stop putting one foot in and one foot out and trying to test the waters on whether or not we're either committed or we aren't committed. Are we committed or are we not committed to the basic fundamentals of what it means to be an American? But you do have this. Secretary Mullen was asked if anyone would be held accountable because the American people, we want blood. We want blood. No, you wouldn't like him when he's angry. Okay, maybe you still would. I still would. You'd only like me when I'm angry because at that point, it's already in the battle, Liberty Lion. And the reality of it is never, ever, ever give to fear. Never, ever, ever give to anger. Giving to anger and feeding anger is the one thing that will destroy you. It will make it impossible for you to sleep, and you will never be able to see through the rainbow. In other words, you'll never be able to see through the most amazing things that are in front of you, the spectrum of amazing that's in front of you. This is just but a part. This is the team evil that we have to fight. There's a lot of great things that we get out of it. Let's go ahead and play the part about Secretary Mullen.
Question the intelligence community from the FBI, CIA, and even other places within DHS, not underneath President Trump's leadership, but that was underneath the Biden administration, kept it from President Trump and the American people in Congress. We are currently going through those lists. We will hold each one of them accountable. Some people aren't here. Some people are no longer in the agencies. Those that are, we will be held accountable. Those that abused their role in this will definitely be held accountable because there is no excuse. If you purposely disobeyed the law and you purposely went around statute, then you have an accountability. You have a legal reason to be held accountable. Yes, sir.
And again, he didn't talk about the machine companies, didn't talk about the people that lied to the American people, that stood on stages, that sat under oath and answered questions with Congress, that lied through their crooked ass teeth. Didn't talk about the people that had subverted and stolen the voice of the American people. And although this is an individual, this is a team sport when it comes to what they did inside the government, they walked away from crimes being committed against the entire country. And that led to people dying. That led to people losing their homes, businesses being attacked, lawfare, put in prison, what they did to J6ers, people that had a right. They had a right. They had an obligation to have a redress of grievances. But nobody wanted to hear it because we're already in that place where the frog is boiled. And you got to, I remember something that Rush Limbaugh said. He said, don't run from truth. Don't run from it. And out of all the words that he's ever spoken, those words stuck with me. I mean, and I didn't watch a lot of Rush Limbaugh. I didn't watch a lot of Glenn Beck. I thought they were talking heads. They could talk about it, but they couldn't be about it. I didn't see them build anything other than a network that was funded by somebody else that wanted them to have a voice. And that's nothing against Glenn Beck, but he went to do the Million Man March in 2012 and got cold feet and canceled it. And the men that were standing up for the Tea Party, it ultimately destroyed the Tea Party. It's because they said, oh, you're getting too powerful, you're getting too big, we need to destroy you. The same thing for President Trump, did the same thing. Many down ballot races were stolen. Yes, all of them. They're all stolen. Primary stolen. Spencer Pratt stolen. All stolen. It's just stolen. It's not even real. It's not even real. And yet we sit here, we talk about it, we want to sniff asses and sniff around the edges and not talk about the things that are most necessary to talk about. And that is, we have been betrayed as people. As Americans, we've been betrayed. In every way you could betray Americans, we've done it. And it's not just the Democrats that did it. It's the Republicans. It's the weak, pathetic people in the bureaucracy that have done everything they can to subvert the will of the people. Because if you have no voice and you have no vote, you have no country. But let's talk about what happens when President Trump got on the stage. Yesterday, by the way, I did have a conversation. I'm not going to put up the text exchange, but let me just tell you a little bit. About Matt DePerno. He put up a post. I'm not going to share our text messages. I don't want to do it. But I do want to put this up here because I think it's important for us to talk through kind of where he is. People are like, oh, Matt DePerno this. Everybody has their favorites, right? I don't have favorites. I have, did he sacrifice? Did he stand up? Did he do the right thing? Did he do so unselfishly? Does he continue to fight? Is he upset? Yes, he's upset. Does he feel betrayed? Yes, he does. Has he made a lot of mistakes? Yes. He made a lot of enemies? Yep. Has he been his own worst enemy at times? Yes, he has. And yet he's facing an indictment. He was the lawyer for Bill Bailey, who died tragically, cancer. "17 Raccoon says, I would like to see folks swinging from ropes on Main Street for election fraud too, but the Constitution guarantees domestic tranquility. So we have to take it slow." That's an interesting way to look at it. That's an interesting way to look at it. Tranquility for who? 17 Raccoons. Tranquility for who? Who gets tranquility? Who gets domestic tranquility? Is it the 71-year-old man who was beaten in Baltimore by 6 thugs outside of a 7-Eleven? Is that tranquility you're talking about? Or maybe it's the grooming of children, that tranquility? Maybe it's the raping of women and children or the trafficking of women and children, that tranquility? And how slow is slow? Or is that just an excuse for the things that bad people could do to people in this country who have fought hard for generations to preserve collectively? It's for the states, not much for the people. I agree with you. The 17 Raccoons, I actually agree with what you're saying. I don't agree in principle with what it's supposed to accomplish or the fact that it doesn't create its own victimology within our society that allows for Team Evil to continue to thrive. That's what I don't think. Hours for the 10 Congress members to get paid for their phones being hacked, $500,000 each. I didn't hear about that, but we'll check on this. But I want to go through this really quick. This was said by Matt DePerno. I put it in there. So the government is now confirming what I brought to light right after the 2020 election, and I was indicted because Jocelyn Benson, Dana Nessel of Michigan Media, Ed McBroom, and Lena Thies wanted to cover up that Michigan State Police had confirmed a Democrat firm fraudulently registered and cheated in the election, and that the Biden administration slow-walked the case until the statute of limitations ran. The documents show industrial-scale manipulation in Michigan. And then he has this picture that says the IP address revolves back to a Ministry of Education computer center all the way in Taiwan. This is in 2020. This is internet communications with the Dominion ICX. Now, yesterday, I'm not sure you guys understand the significance of something we put up yesterday, and that was that somebody from HP in China was communicating with Dominion that a tablet would be delivered, and that tablet turns out, and all this information came from China. So all the equipment came from China for Dominion voting systems. The data center was built by Roaming Networks, which is directly connected to China. They use Serbia, they use proxies in other states in order to build code. They didn't build it in the United States. They have foreigners inside of judgeships all over the country. We are literally a captured country of a bunch of foreigners that don't give a crap about our society, don't give a crap about our ethos, and want to steal the American dream from us and hand it down to single-digit IQ Somalis. That's the reality. And we want to sit back and watch it happen. Matt's not wrong. Matt's not wrong. We had this information in 2020, 2021. The American public, patriots, did the work. We did the work. We stayed up every night. We worked our ass off. We did what was necessary in order to protect the interests of our people. We died. Some of us died. Ashley Babbitt died. Roseanne Boylan died. President Trump was shot at. A firefighter, a retired firefighter, sitting behind President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, lost his life. How many people have to lose their lives? How many liars get to sit on the sideline and call us liars? How many times do they get to take from us what was never theirs to take? How many unanswered questions do we get to say haven't been answered? How many times do we get to be victimized by COVID vaccines and lies that they told about where it came from, only to have the people do the hard work and they told you it came from a place in Wuhan, China, from a factory there, a virus-making clinic? Now I'm getting angry. When I lose the ability to get it off, I'm getting angry. They said it came from a bat, from a wet, because that's what they say. And they can walk past the lie as if it's standing still. And they have people like Dr. Corey that says, listen, we have this thing called ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Give it to everybody. It is a prophylactic. And by the way, it's a miracle drug. It basically destroys COVID. But instead of doing that, they've taken ivermectin, which has been a miracle drug, and it went from being worth 20 cents to now it's worth $2, $3, $4 a pill. They have turned it into profiteering for foreigners. They have turned it into profiteering for big pharma. You had Pfizer-mectin, which is ivermectin that they put Pfizer on the front of, and they went out in the public and said, we're going to charge you $6, $8, $10, $12 a pill. They put people on remdesivir that had a death rate of 100% for Ebola. People lost their jobs. People were kicked out of the military. People that went out there to protect Americans and created fake cards, ID cards, were persecuted and prosecuted. And by the way, the pardon czar is not doing nearly enough, because you got thousands of Americans that have been lawfared to death, and you should step in and take care of it. It should be, oh, you created vaccine cards for these people so that they wouldn't have to die? Oh, pardoned. Why is it taking so long? Well, justice, the wheels of justice turn slowly. Well, how slowly can they turn? When pieces of trash are put in positions of trust and get to vote, to increase taxes, and to do things to the American people to strip them of their rights, state by state, across the nation, and we sit there and say, it's complicated. But at least we have it on the plate. The people in government that don't want things to change, why would they make a change? They got billions of dollars at their fingerprints and their fingertips, and they can sit there and they can denigrate and they can defame someone like President Trump that's trying to get stuff done because they're so deathly afraid of taking away Team Evil's ability to yield the sword. And now he's handing it off to the American people. That's where we're at right now. But I totally understand that as one of the guys who put his life, fortune, honor on the cause, it's just fine to have righteous indignation for all you have done. Thank you, 17 Raccoons. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And I do recognize that we have to operate with restraint and we have to move at the speed of the slowest person in our community. We have to get them up to speed. People are not that bright sometimes. Certainly if I was brighter, I would have kept my mouth shut because the risk in what I've faced has been dramatic. Well, here's Jason Crow out of Colorado that called President Trump a liar. He called President Trump a liar. This piece of trash who frankly was never elected, who stands up for pedophiles, who is probably one of the most dishonorable, treasonous individuals that sits in Congress today, he had this to say about what happened with President Trump last night. Go ahead, play it.
I want to be very clear to Americans and to Coloradans right now. President Donald Trump continues to lie, distort the truth, to try to sow doubt and suppress the 2026 election. He doesn't want Americans to vote. He doesn't want their voice to be heard. He wants people to stay home because he knows that if people stand up, organize, exercise their right to vote, that they're going to repudiate his failed policies and the corruption of this administration. That's what this is about. He has years of history of election denialism, of telling lies, of making things up. And what you've just heard is a continuation of that. I'm a member of the Intelligence Committee. I'm a member of the Armed Services Committee. I'm a proud national security Democrat. I've spent my life in defense of this country, in defense of this nation, in defense of our Constitution and our values. I take threats against America and Americans extremely seriously. It's our most sacred and important obligation. But I can tell you that what you're hearing from the president or from this administration is not true. They're making things up. I will shoot straight with all of you. I'll tell you what's happening and what is not. But the lies and the misinformation and the disinformation, the distortions coming from the president, from this White House, they're cherry-picked intelligence, they're select releases of information, are designed to do one thing and one thing only. Create this notion that elections were stolen, that there was interference that didn't actually happen. And we will do everything possible to get the truth out and to put out good information. So I will today, in this day, going forward, between now and the election and after the election, be talking with all of you about what's happening, what's not, and giving you the information that you need to protect your family and to exercise your right to vote.
You're a liar, Jason Crow. You're a lying sack of shit. That's what you are. You don't know anything about elections. You sit on committees and you collect a paycheck. Let's talk about your wealth and how it's increased by like 800% since you've been in Congress. Should we talk about that? Let's talk about the grift on the American people downstream for people in your family. Should we talk about that? You use the same dog whistles, misinformation, disinformation, a continuation of those same things. Cherry-picked intelligence. He released data from the government. But you want to say that it's a lie. He took the information directly from FBI files, directly from DNI, directly from DHS. He took it directly from their own files that they hid. No, but you're right, Jason. You're right. Everyone else is wrong. The Democrats, the Democrats, the people that, what you've done, you've actually done well for our country, right? I mean, let's talk about the prosperity that's come. through the Biden administration. Let's talk about the prosperity that's come by anything that has ever been touched by Democrats ever. You're liars. You stand on a hill and you lie as easy as it is for you to breathe. And when President Trump comes down and says, we're done with you, we've had enough, introduces the first salvo, all I can think to myself is you didn't go far enough. Show it all. Because the people on our side, we're not crazy. You're evil. We're not crazy. We care deeply about our state, deeply about our country, and we're willing to fight for it. You're willing to steal the rights of Americans and make them beg for it while putting it behind a base of a lack of transparency. That's what you're doing. I hate these people. I hate these people. People say you got to pray for them. Yeah, I pray that the consequences hit them in the face pretty hard and that God handles the rest in his own time. Then you had Polis. Now, here's what I want to say about Jared Polis. Man, I want to hate that guy. But he released Tina Peters. And I don't really have any hate in my heart for someone that at least does the right thing. And there's this thing about praying to make sure the heart of a man can be changed. You can say he's gay. I don't care if he's gay. I don't care if he's a purple dinosaur. He was the governor of Colorado that saw the lack of fairness of how they treated Tina Peters. Take her innocence out of it for a minute. They wanted to lock her up for 9.5 years for a lie behind really, really crappy, disgusting people like Judge Matthew Barrett. And at the same time that I say that, he still walked out and said, no, I'm sending her home. I'm sending her home. What you did is not fair. And I think that's an eye opener. We have to pay attention to that. And what he wrote here is I believe maybe he has access to the information. He knows how bad the elections are stolen in Colorado. And I know that he thinks or he knows that listen, Gammy, Joe, careful on Polis. He's signing the law of horrible bills to harm our children. He is not a real governor. He's a criminal who has done great damage to Colorado parents and more. Okay, two things can be true at the same time. The 17 raccoons, man, you just are on fire right now. Our Republican form of government requires honest, ethical, and moral people. That is why it is not working because of scum like him. That's true, very true. Everybody said New Mexico is the same as Colorado. Liz says it's only thing that will shut up these pieces of shit is arrests, prosecutions, and jail. I agree with that too. And it should come on the heels of a military tribunals, and they should be held to account. I agree with that. So I think he was pressured. Liberty Line says, I agree with you. They are scared now, so doubling down. They have to double down. Look, when you commit a crime and you want to run away from it and say you didn't do it, you have to double down. You have to use dog whistles like racism and misinformation and disinformation and homophobic and all that other BS. It's all a lie. It's all manipulation. And it's all what evil does. That's what Team Evil does. But let's put up the post from Governor Polis for a second. I'm glad the president is releasing documents because the more we know about election threats, the more we can prepare to protect the integrity and security of our elections. But the president's mad ramblings do nothing to actually improve election security and, in fact, undermine trust in our voting systems and election outcomes. The president has lost more than 60 court cases related to the 2020 election because many of his claims are false. Tackling the real threats against our election requires bipartisan focus and action, not lists of personal grievances. Just so you know, Fat Man, let me just tell you a little bit about this, okay? He did not lose 60 court cases related to the election. And it's not because the claims were false. It's because they did not allow standing. Because you had Punjab Bob, that was a judge, that was from India, or you had some other masquerading communist judge that stood as a henchman for the radical left that was put in that position to basically do harm to the American people and treat them like slaves. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. And here's a senator that shouldn't be a senator, gaslighting the American people, because that's what it's all about. It's all about lying and lying and lying and making sure you stay in your lane. Everybody, here's the talking points. Make sure you stay with it. Here's Raphael Warnock, who was an illegitimate senator in 2020. Play it.
So I just finished watching the president's speech. Let's just cut to the core. to what this is really about. This is not about 2020. It is about 2026. The president is rehashing his demented fantasies about an election being stolen in 2020 as a pretext for interfering in the election in 2026. This is what Donald Trump knows. He knows he's a failed president. He knows that his popularity is faltering. He knows that he is on course to lose in 2026. And instead of doing something about for the people, he's trying to interfere in our elections. Do not let Donald Trump convince you that he's already won. Do not allow him to intimidate you. Come November, we're going to hold Donald Trump and his enablers in Congress accountable. And there are no lies, there's nothing he can do to stop it.
There's nothing he can do to stop it. I can tell you what I will do to stop it. Whatever's necessary. Whatever the American people have to do to make sure that we have free and fair elections is what we should be doing. Courts use procedure, technical rules to dismiss those cases and not hear the merits, facts of those cases. Well, you can also talk about what they did to Kerry Lake. They heard the case, and you could tell on his face that the judge had already made a decision. A part of the same creepy cabal, the criminal family that runs most of our country, bought and paid for with money, power, anything they can to treat the American people like slaves. You are a slave. You're a slave. They repeat the same thing over and over again. Demented fantasies. You know what? I got to say this for you. I don't have demented fantasies. No one in my life has ever accused me of being connected to anything other than the truth. And let me tell you something else. I am willing to do whatever it takes on my side. I'm willing to give up whatever needs to be given up on my side in order to make sure that the American people have another 250 years of a constitutional republic. And what I see right now is a bunch of failed piece of shit, low IQ, never accomplished anything in their life individuals who rode in on the criminal family that they lived in and got there by stealing elections and lying to people, cheating people, treating the American people like slaves. Here's what Gavin Newsom had to say. Let's play it.
Well, the only thing missing tonight in Donald Trump's speech was tinfoil. This was a legitimate 25th Amendment moment. The ramblings of a mad king. Don't get me wrong. Foreign interference in our elections, that's a real thing. Nothing about what you watched tonight, though, was real. It's make-believe. He wants to rig the election in 2026. He knows he's going to lose. He needs to rig the election before one vote was cast. That's what that whole thing was about tonight. This is a serious and profound moment where we can either fall prey to cynicism, fear, and anxiety, or we can step up and step in, mobilize, organize, not agonize, and turn out in record numbers this November and end Donald Trump's presidency as we know it. We can do that together.
With what? Bots and fake ballots? With what exactly? With what exactly? What exactly are we supposed to save it with right there? I mean, he's ramblings of a mad king. Everyone's mad except for the piece of shit, Gavin Newsom, who's done nothing for his state. His state is in a constant state of disrepair, and he said we can win together. Like, win what? I want to talk to the Democrats right now. Win what? What are you winning? Please tell me what anything in a domestic policy or foreign policy related to any Democrat has resulted in more money, more time, more anything. Please tell me. Safer communities? Nope. Less drugs on the street? Nope. A criminal justice system that doesn't send black men to prison? Nope. How about the killing of babies? Nope, they love that. And if the government gave back the tax dollars that it took from the American people, which it doesn't need, they could create a tariff system that allows for the American people not to be taxed at 56 cents on every dollar, not to have sky high property taxes to give back and to have to work for 40 years. They don't work for 40 years. They don't work for 15 minutes. They can't even show up to Congress to pass what needs to be passed in order to protect the vote of the American people. They're too busy spouting dog whistles of, women will have to, married women will be disenfranchised. You don't have to have an ID because black people don't know how to use a computer. Every time you turn around, it's more dog whistles of bullshit. And we sit there and we take it. Well, what can we do? We can fight like hell. That's what we can do. We can take it back. We can call Newsom what he is. By the way, he got completely jacked. I mean, you want to talk about ratioing, go to any of the platforms, and he got ratioed to the bitter end. And as they get bots under control on the X platform and on Facebook and things like that, I mean, they have their own bots. They use plenty of bots. There's companies that Victor Marx uses bots. He uses tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of bots that he basically uses to make it look like real people, but they're not. We've been betrayed by people in this country that have been selected on both sides of the aisle. The American people are slaves in their own country. You have no control over anything. They put cameras on every corner and then ask sheriffs in conservative environments, ask the community to squeal on their neighbors. They want to violate the rule of law. They want to take from us what isn't theirs. They want to use whatever means they can in order to victimize and to persecute the American people. And then they want you to tell on your neighbor. This is like 1940s Nazi Germany. That's what the left represents. There's nothing about the radical left that makes any sort of sense. And by the way, if you're a Democrat, you've been left behind. You've been fooled by a public image that's been created that's absolutely nothing but nonsense. I could sit here and show you factually, sit down one by one and show you the information that we've been collecting for 6 years. And you would still go, no, Gavin Newsom says it's okay. It's all right. President Trump's not a king. You're a retard if you believe that. Wake up. This is not a Democrat versus Republican versus independent versus anything. This is, do you play for Team Evil or are you an American fighting for American ideals? And if you think that being for illegals is an American ideal, you're retarded. Because until we get to the point where we take care of our own people, why would we? Let me see what we got here. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. This came out in the files. I need to put this up right here. Former FBI official Nikki Flores, I'm basically running a shadow government across the FBI at this point. You will never guess what she's up to now. Director of Insider Risk at Microsoft. Microsoft let engineers based in China access the Pentagon-sensitive military systems. Biden's deputy AG, who ran the Trump witch hunts, now is also a senior official at Microsoft. Microsoft is rotten. And there's the piece of shit right there, the little communist. I'm basically running a shadow government across the FBI at this point. I'm basically running a shadow government across the FBI at this point. Wait, where are we as a country? Where are we as a country when we are basically running away and having them take what was never theirs to take, the dignity of an entire nation? And they've done so without a single shot being fired because they have used lies and the media and captured social media to run a shadow government right under our noses. It's treason. And yet, I will say this, not one person has been indicted. Sorry, I needed to send a text to John Eastman. I don't have much more for you today. I'm going to say this. I have 6 years of videos where I've gotten out here. They've condensed down the media of Joe calls for the execution of his political allies or opponents. People are dying all over the world because of CIA ability to manipulate things. People, there was no Darfur deal of genocide, ethnic cleansing. We destroyed an entire country, split it in half, and made the people there poor and dying. We made a poor country poorer. We did the same thing in Iraq. We did the same thing in Afghanistan. We basically have created terrorists all over the world. That's what our CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, has done, while the media sat back here and lied to us about all of it. And while other countries hated us because of what they did, we were the fools that sat on the sideline and took it while handing up 30, 40, 50, 60% of our tax dollars. We just handed them our hard-earned work. By the way, if you paid your taxes based on how much money you paid the government, you wouldn't get paid until July. You wouldn't get paid till the 7th month. Think about that. You'd work for 6 months for free. How does that make you feel when you go home and know that you can't make your bills, you can't pay your car payment, you can't do everything, but the government gets to take 56 cents on every dollar? And you don't have to be anti-government. It's anti-American. What they've done to us is create a slave culture. And they basically want to say black people are abused. Man, American people are abused. The American people are run through the ringer and have everything taken from them by liars and thieves. And we know it. And this is just more of the same. More of the same. Yesterday or the day before, we talked about some spooky woman that, that is an Indian attorney, or excuse me, judge, that sat on the federal bench. Well, how about the district judge, Maxilla Upayaya, in the District of Columbia, who was born in Gret, India. It was a partner at Venable at LLP. They just come in and become lawyers so they can take over our country. And we haven't done anything about that yet. They smile and they don't get angry, because how they enact all of their anger is by being Team Evil's henchmen. We don't have a judiciary. It's rotted to the core. It basically is a judicial coup. And what Bukele said in Brazil is the same thing we face in our country. You cannot act fast enough to get rid of a rotted judiciary. If you do not get rid of the judges, you have no country, because they will continue to protect the very thing that has kept them in power for the time that they're in. They're protecting their ideals. We right now are under attack from within our government. It is not our government it's not some foreign government that caused us to have people inside of our country that stand as protectors for pedophiles and allow our children to be raped and put criminals back on the street. It's people inside of our own country that are making victims of people on our streets. That's the reality. And shame on the people out there that want to sit here behind a little thing and say, oh, well, tell me about this. Okay, we're going to go and have a new show. And, oh, this is really bad. And, there's no righteous indignation to it at all. There's nobody getting upset about it. And you say, well, getting upset doesn't solve anything. Sitting there and trying to be Captain Obvious and talking as if the world is not on fire, that our country is not on fire, that they're not burning churches to the ground, that they're not putting wildfires in place all over the country in order to create chaos and destroy people's homes. Well, they get out on $5,000 bails while destroying the jobs of so many. We drop bombs on Iran, but we can't actually hold criminals and traitors in our own country responsible for what they've done to the American people. How much of an embarrassment is that? We can show our strength on foreign soil. The people we can't ever see will never have to pick up their body parts, while we watch Americans in our own country get slaughtered by people that don't belong here, raped by people that don't belong here, murdered by people that don't belong here. But tell me again. Tell me how you want me to have a bleeding heart because ICE is going into the community and stripping it of people, while you don't even talk about the Americans that have been lost because of the evil that is done by the radical leftist regimes. I personally have had enough. I've had enough. So let me tell you what I'm about to do. You'll be the first to hear about it. We are building a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week network. It will not just be on politics. It'll be the Daily Drive. We'll be able to reach you where and when you want to be reached. We'll be on every platform. You'll see my show on that platform. You'll also see my show on the normal platforms that I have, and I will go live every day for the same hour and a half to 2 hours. Probably going to have to limit it to an hour or to 2 hours, so it will be a very structured environment. That will be happening. We're deep in the middle of it. Been doing it for 15 days. We've created a good environment where we feel comfortable that on Labor Day weekend we should be able to launch. We got some pretty crazy stuff that we're doing in order to make sure that we have the proper app environment, that we even have things on the dial, FM, AM radio stations, and that we're going to do some syndication and talk to people about syndication across the country. Don't know what content that means, or we're in those discussions now. I've been in the discussions all day, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all live content. We're not going to do anything that's not live. So even the night deal from midnight till 6 in the morning, which will be 2 in the morning on the East Coast and 11 on the West Coast. But it's going to be pretty awesome. Beverly says, I saw my first Somalian in Walmart last night. I guess I was staring. Man, go to Costco in Colorado. See a lot of them. I don't care that they're Somalis. I care about the fact that you assimilate or get out. And you don't get to get free healthcare and free everything else. Go get a job. Work the way Americans have had to work, which is 2 jobs at times, 3 jobs if you're a single mom. You know, paying for things. Struggle like everybody else does. It's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun. Like I told you that I would tell you the truth. I know your blood's boiling. You're trying to figure out how do you work that problem. We have to work the problem. And what are the 4 things? Go ahead and tell me the 4 things that you have to do. Anyone, tell me. Just 4 things. I say it quite often. You have to pray. You have to stand. You have to speak. You have to act. You have to pray first. You have to stand up. Always speak the truth. Then you have to speak the truth, and then you have to act in that truth. And when you're done acting, no matter where it takes you, you got to go back to prayer so that you never become the very thing that you're fighting against. That's the most difficult thing for me. That is the most difficult thing for me ever. Why? Oh, man. It's not what they do to me that bothers me. I think that that's the part you miss. I don't care. I was never making it out of this life alive anyway. I don't care. I've lived a great life. I've done amazing things. I'm going to just say this for you, and hopefully it resonates, and hopefully it gets to President Trump, and hopefully, President Trump, I am always in your corner. I am always available. I will walk across hot coals for the American people just as you would. I will do whatever it takes in order to get to a place where we can honor truth and we can fight back against these demons. I will never back down. But the thing that the American people are looking at right now is the ultimate betrayal. No one's held accountable. We'll drop bombs on Iran, but we won't drop bombs, theoretically, on the heads of those people who have created treason and are traitors to our country. And I know for a fact that Stephen Miller talked about the fact that the leftists are terrorists, and they are. And that we're trying to make this slowly boil into a place where we can have conversation. But you don't yield enough swords in order to do things slowly. You don't own enough apparatuses. You don't have enough things that you can actually leverage that you can pull, whether it be Facebook or X, or you don't have enough. And so right now we have to move as quickly as possible, in my opinion. And whatever help I can give you, I'm going to volunteer David Clements. I'm going to volunteer Jeff Lindbergh. I'm going to volunteer people that, frankly, you couldn't pay. Like, we just don't want money. What we want is we want accountability. Patrick Byrne gave up $100 million. We've given up a lot. And we shouldn't have to sit here and have this conversation about should we, shouldn't we? What are the risks? Well, I have fear of this, fear of that. We're not fearful. We're not a fearful people. It's not who we are. We're fighters. We're warriors. Americans are likely to act like it. The new population of young people coming up, they want to have a Julius Caesar moment. Only it doesn't have to be in a single individual. There are plenty of people waiting. There's plenty of people in this country that are willing to stand up. You just got to be able to tell them what to do. All right. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. You can reach us on all those different channels. You can actually see us on Roku, which is growing like crazy. So I'd like to see it. Take a picture. If you do, send it to me, joe@untamednation.com. If you're watching me on Roku, just like beep, 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 hey, watching you. I know that the numbers there are growing dramatically. I just want to be able to see me on your wall or on your TV. Obviously, we're on Rumble. We're on those different platforms. Again, we're going to continue to expand the platforms that we're on. We're going to expand the things that we continue to do. I will tell you this. Make sure on your side that you're tight and right, that you've already made the decision on what you're willing to do in order to save your family and save your community. And then make sure you start having conversations with people in your community about that. Hold them accountable. Okay? That's all I ask. All right. Calm down before you leave, Joe. Everything is going to be good. 2 words. I know it's going to be good. And look, I'm not angry. I'm righteously indignant. I am passionate about my people. I am passionate about my fellow Americans, my brothers and sisters. I'm passionate about my brothers and sisters in Australia and New Zealand and Spain and the UK and Poland and Russia and even Ukraine. People that literally are controlled and destroyed by an ideology that is so innately evil that it wants to take everything from us, including the soul that we hold dear, and our commitment to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's the problem I have. And I think that if we literally let our blood boil a little bit further, we would have a Tea Party moment. We would be able to get under control and take back what they've taken from us without ever firing a shot. And my fear is we'll get to the place where people just don't have any other hope. So like, I'm just taking it. That's it. I've watched the worst of humanity and the best of humanity, and I've seen both. I've seen all of it. And I want us to get to a place where our young people understand sacrifice and that they, literally work for it and act like they aren't entitled to it. That's what I want. All right. Father God, thank you. Thank you for, no matter what, we sit here and we talk this through and we get, I get really upset over the things that are happening. We do know that everything happens in your time. We do know, Father, that we are just a part of the puzzle and that we have to honor you and follow the path that you would put us on. Father, we are grateful for the relationships that we've been able to gain. We're grateful for the environment and the opportunities to build things, to help others to get to a place where they can know you. And Father, we are thankful for the peace that comes over us, even knowing that things aren't necessarily going every which way that they should, or that it's matching what we saw the outcome would be 2 years into President Trump's presidency. But Father, we know that all things come through you. So we just ask you, Father, to give us the strength to stand up, to protect our leaders, protect President Trump, protect others that are working within his administration and around each state and each part of our community, to speak truth and to hold people who are not truth tellers, that are deceivers, that are part of Team Evil, responsible, like Jason Crow and Jared Polis. We can see it as it's right in front of us. And we are not deceived and we are not disillusioned. The sacrifices and or the fight that we're going to have to find ourselves in order to protect the outcome of where our country goes from here. Father, I ask you to give us a lift, to lift that burden off our shoulders, and to give us not hope, but to give us the ability to see past the negative things that are happening and see just the innate beautiful nature of this world that you've built. I ask these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. That's the end of the show. And boy, do I struggle. I struggle until I don't. And you struggle until you don't. But just know this, President Trump did what he could, negotiated through all of that, and now out the other side comes the ability for us to work the problem. So God bless you. We're going to have Matt DePerno on next week. See if I can get John Eastman on as well. See if we can get to the bottom of some of this stuff. So, all right, God bless you. Keep fighting.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever